Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. We begin in the name of the God, whose mercy is profound, whose kindness is forever. Uh, Let me ask Roopa Sharma Sahiba to introduce this new program.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. There's no need to translate now because now we are coming this new series on public demand that we should start something in English. So, yes, I welcome all the viewers who have actually prompted us to come up with a session in English. Now, I welcome on this show that we are going to name One God Bridging the Gaps. I welcome you on this new series, and inshallah, those who are interested to listen to us will find it useful and probably get some of the answers and they'll share with their dear ones and loved ones. So, sir, can you please give a little introduction? How and some of your viewers who have sent you messages or email asking and appreciating this show, can you please share some feedback? I mean, because it's an initiative based on the feedback that you have received. So what was the comment exactly like?
I think people who've approached me have been impressed by the fact that two individuals coming from different backgrounds have decided to come together and talk about the most important subjects that a human being can talk about, which is our creator, the purpose of life, and how should we go about leading a life that is going to ultimately enable us to have success in this life and in another life, which is going to happen after our demise. Now, one of the problems that our world is confronting today is the it's not a problem, actually, it's a blessing, the blessing of diversity, but unfortunately it has been made into a problem because of the intolerance shown by many religious people. So it's very important that we talk about these subjects. And I think the fact that coming from different backgrounds and talking about this subject in a way, in a manner that is really enabling each other to understand what our respective points of view are, that has impressed some people. And they would want this understanding, this dialogue to be shared by the English knowing, English speaking public as well. And I think it's a good idea.
It is indeed a good idea. So before we start, let me acknowledge one thing. I don't know if you remember when we started Sabka Malik Ek Hai, I started on a note that I belong to a generation who is actually linguistically handicapped. So we have English. Our Hindi is not perfect. English is not perfect. Urdu is definitely not perfect. So it's going to be a challenge. But those who are going to judge specifically my English based on the dialect or grammar, I hats off to you that, okay, fine, you continue the criticism because I'll tell you why I'm saying this. I'm quite confident the journey that I have to share and the messages and the research done over a period of, I think, 22 plus years in comparative religious studies. I have a lot to share, and I'm sure people will get a benefit. And where this is coming from, I have studied from a very, very humble school run by Delhi administration. It's called Municipal School, Hindi medium. We learned ABCD in sixth standard. I personally started my English speaking English medium study curriculum in bachelor's first year, so I had my own journey, learned a lot, developed a lot, but I am quite not sure how I'm going to carry on with this demand that people have put forward, but inshallah I will do my level best. Here we come. So this is my background on my language and my daring attempt to start this series, sir. And I'll try my level best to come at par with you with your heavy duty vocabulary that you have probably enhanced a lot from UK while doing your PhD research from there. So this is an introductory, let's say, episode. I really want my viewers, especially from India and people in my circle. I started this for my folks. Please give little introduction about your journey. It has been a transition. It has been a transition from A to B, from very orthodox, rigid kind of understanding of Islam that non-Muslims probably have, right? From that aspect. I'm not saying right or wrong, but yes, you have your own journey from that approach to this approach, which is modern, which is more liberal, which is more receptive, which is more understanding and welcoming. Please share your
Thank you.
transition.
Thank you, Rupa. Let me just briefly say a few things. It's a good thing that the world that we are living in has accepted that your English, my English should not be perfect. It should be understandable. And
Yes.
I'm sure that we both speak a language which most people in the world who know English would understand it. Secondly, if you talk about my journey, I would divide it into three parts. There was a part of my life as a teenager when I didn't give religion a damn. I was completely away from it, distanced from it by miles. Well, it was because of the attraction that I found in life. It was so overwhelming that I thought that religion was a, a hindrance in enabling me to get the best out of this life. Then all of a sudden, I lost my father and I lost all interest in this worldly life, and I got inclined towards religion. My first experience of religion was an experience of a person who became very rigid, narrow in approach. I think probably it was something I needed because I was so shocked because of the demise of my father that I needed a peace of mind. I needed solace, contentment. And somehow, it's very strange, Rupa, that it sometimes is true that it comes from a rigid approach towards the narrative that you own. But thanks God, um, not long after I became interested in religion, I was introduced to two very important personalities, Mawlana Amin Ahsan Islahi and his student pupil, Javed Ahmed Ghamdi. Both were outstanding people who had a very strong, deep understanding of the Quran. And from the perspective of people who look at religion as outsiders, they could be described as liberals, even though they're actually deep down, they're not liberals, they're traditional.
Yes.
But what they say is that our traditional understanding, our genuine understanding of the Quran, leads us to believe that God's message is liberal. So, if you ask me what exactly is your point of view today, well, I would say that
So difference
I,
before and after.
yeah, okay. The difference is that the biggest difference I can tell you is that when I was a narrow-minded, rigid Muslim, I used to think that we Muslims are the ones who are the chosen people, favorites of the Almighty, and God hates all
The rest.
others. And we are destined for the paradise to live therein forever, and all others are destined for the hellfire to roast therein forever. Alhamdulillah, I thank God, and I think, I really feel deeply obliged that I have come out of the hell of that thinking.
How long that
And
period
I
was,
now,
sir? How long that period was for you?
okay, if I say that I got converted to Islam, towards Islam and the Quran in the year 1977,
Mhm.
uh, my period of transition started in 1980-81, but it was a very slow period. I must admit that alongside the influence of Maulana Islahi and Javed Ahmed Ghamdi Sahab, there was this very important thing that happened in my life, and that is I went for doing my PhD in the UK University of Wales from 1990 to 1994. And it was a very small university town in Wales, Lempeter,
Mhm.
where I stayed for 4 years. And I had the opportunity of meeting and talking to and listening to many good, genuine Christians. And I realized that we are just the same. We have some differences,
Mhm.
but we are all hopefully honest people. We have disagreements, which we must continue to talk to resolve and overcome. But I think that was the turning point. And ever since 1990 onwards, there's no looking back. I am getting increasingly convinced that the point of view that I now have is the point of view presented by the Quran. And I'm prepared to talk to anybody about it.
Okay. So, other than rigidity and liberalism that uh, God has to offer, that is the difference. The way of living, what is the change that you have actually experienced in the way you live? What I know now, people actually have called you Disco Maulana. Was there any tags given to you, or you gave it to yourself?
You know, in our part of the world, if you want to be known as a religious person, you have to have a certain appearance.
Mhm.
You ought to have a very long beard. I have a decently long beard, but not quite as long as
Like
would
this,
impress the
without comb
traditional
or
religious. Yeah, right. It should be as long as it can get. The second thing is that I should have my head covered with a cap, a topi, something. And also, I should wear a dress which is the local dress, shalwar, kameez, something of that sort. And there are certain other things in appearance that should go with me if I am to be known as a real, genuine religious person. I realized that all this was just, you know, un, un, un you know, need. It's not needed. It's unimportant. And this thinking, this approach is absolutely shallow. The important thing is that you should have the real, genuine spirit of God's message that you must understand and you must follow, and it should be an ongoing process. You can never block your mind. You can never declare that what you know now is the final word. So that's an important change, because earlier on, I used to think that what I have reached as a conclusion is the ultimate truth, and I don't need to talk to anybody to understand as to whether I'm wrong or right. But now I believe that even though I feel confident about my point of view, I still have a long way to go to continue to explore the truth.
so what I can take away from this discussion, that the explanation that you have given, from rigidity to liberalism, from appearance to inner solace. This is the transition.
That's right.
And
That's right.
yeah, so please allow me to share what happened in my journey.
Oh,
uh,
please do. Please do.
you have, from rigidity to this liberal space. I am coming from completely different end, where I'm brought up in a very traditional Orthodox priest Brahmin family. And I lost my mother when I was 17, went through havoc, nervous breakdown, emotional trauma, and I became, in a way, atheist. So I stopped believing in God, and I became quite pessimistic, depressive. I went on, some antidepressant, very light, for a period of time when I was 17. Then there was some personal twist in my life. I happened to meet with my classmate who happened to be a Muslim. We came together, and then religion played one of the biggest mess in my life. That how come on earth a priest Hindu Brahmin family can marry a Muslim? There was no question of having it arranged. So there was a point that, you know what, I'm not going to get married. I came here to Dubai. 9/11 happened. And ever since we are together, we got married, and we are happily married for more than a couple of decades now. 9/11 happened and my mind boggled when I saw people jumping from the buildings and the twin towers on fire, and so much of talk about Islam. And I was really furious that once I was really reluctant to come to this place, knowing that this is first time I'm going to a Muslim country. I had my own inhibition. This is year 2000. I thought, you know what? Let me read Quran. And what people read, that they become so full of hate that they can kill hundreds and thousands of people in the name of God, because that was the narrative set at that point in time. And I started my uh, reading or research, you can say, comparative religious studies. I started reading Islam from there, and then I got interested in Hinduism, our books, lots of literature, Gita, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, lots of books. And then I thought, you know what, this is it. When I saw those links that, okay, Prophet Muhammad is the last avatar, based on research, and I have spoken about this many times, what made change in my way of living? I will not say Islam as a religion. To me, is a way of living, is a lifestyle. Washing your face on hand and hygiene part, it was very appealing to me, that 5 times you're disconnecting from the world, because I wanted to connect with my mother. Because my mother-in-law said that, you know what, there are chances when you die as a good human being, believing in one God, and if you are sad in heaven and you will say, Allah will ask you why you're sad, you can say, I'm missing my mom, and Allah can bring your mom. And that was quite greedy take. That's where my whole research started. And then I performed Umrah and I went there. Certain mystical things happened actually. There were visions before I could see real Kaaba. There was something divine happened, and it was overwhelming. Again, because of this religious association, I was disowned for 12 long years by my family. There were tensions, and I had to really, really, really believe that no, the way I have lost them in the hands of religion, one day my family and folks will be back to me, inshallah. And now I'm back with my family. We are together. I can go and visit them. To this understanding that I was quite open to explore religions when you started your journey, and you thought that the earlier school of thought was rigid, for you only option left was this school of thought. Have you ever thought about going through and getting to know different other religions? Was it ever an option? And why not?
Uh, Frankly, it was not an option. And it's a good question, why not? I think it was not a decision based on any rigid decision that I had taken. I felt that I was okay with the message that I have understood, and I have gotten answers to most questions, and I feel good about it. However, uh, I also knew that I will continue to be open to listen to and read the other religions and other points of view as and when there would be an opportunity for me to do so. Um, and therefore, I'm still open. I keep telling people, and some Muslims are not particularly impressed by my statement. I say that my faith is, when it's at the best level, it's something like 80%. There is always a 20% window open. Why? Because I'm a human being. I
Mm.
feel confident, fairly confident, but then I'm a human being. Like, I know that there are many good Hindus, there are many good Christians, there are many good Jews, etc., who are fairly confident that their point of view is correct. But I have a disagreement with them. And I therefore give the same um, chance, opportunity to others to doubt about my decision. But Rupa, I want to say one thing. You know, I have a feeling that almost all serious religious people, they have this understanding that it's all coming from the same source.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
All these religious traditions are from our Creator God. Now, you know what the trouble is? The trouble is that I would somehow insist that my tradition is the right one, because I was born in my tradition and I have experienced it all throughout my life. And therefore, I would not like to allow the other religious traditions to be given the chance of them being declared as the right traditions. No, I find it natural, but at times it's something which is,
Hmm.
I would say, superficial. Why? Because I think at the end of the day, every Muslim, every Hindu, every Christian, every Jew should be worried about what exactly does God say. And if God is consistent, and and if He is a God, He has to be consistent. Then there is no chance that different conflicting points of view should all come from Him. So instead of fighting with each other, I think we should all be deeply concerned about the question as to what exactly is the right approach. And to me, the only methodology that is the right one is that we talk to each other, we do it politely with arguments. We should be able to politely and academically criticize the other point of view and allow others to criticize our point of view. And this dialogue discussion must continue, and it should continue forever, because that's the best hope. Because there is no other hope. I mean, I don't even want to think about this possibility, which many religious people have, by the way. I'm sure Muslims, I'm sure Christians, I'm sure Jews, I'm not too sure about Hindus, that people belonging to these three traditions think, most of them, that they are going to be successful and others are doomed. I think that's not going to happen. The God that I believe in is fair, is merciful. He has himself created this diversity. He himself decided that I should be born to a Muslim mother, and others should be born to mothers who have faiths different from mine. So at the end of the day, he's going to be fair and kind. And let's keep talking about our traditions and work out, hopefully, a bigger, broader common ground.
That's very nice of you to come to, I think, concluding today's message. However, I have a slightly different take on this, sir. What I believe is, Rod, one cannot have debate and one cannot criticize uh, other person if we are not aware about the tradition, the approach, the concept, the principles, the value system, the fundamentals. We cannot. So then it is a debate or a discussion without a point. Then it's a one-sided dialogue. I believe the biggest root of all the problem is our ignorance of not knowing what other has it on the ground. For example, the most misunderstood religion, so to say, in the entire world is, so to say, Hinduism, whereas there is nothing called Hinduism. The real name is Sanatana Dharma. It's eternal law. This is the name. There's nothing called Hinduism. People, those who were born next to Indus River, they were called Hindus, right? So I think when we will be daring enough to read and understand other scriptures, know their message, know the fundamental principles, values, and message, and when we are sure, yes, we have understood enough and there are arguments enough to discuss, and then we can, yes, say, okay, then there's a choice and a plan and an occasion to discuss and have a healthy debate where we can tell people this is the point, this is where you are wrong. This, otherwise it is just a debate that I say my things, other person will keep on saying their things based on their judgments of people what they follow. So then we will be end up criticizing traditions and cultures and not the scriptures and the messages. I think ignorance is the biggest disease, and the only way forward, I believe, is a knowledge. and then discussing. Otherwise, on hearsay, on depending on what people have to say and what people are doing, we base our argument based on that, then we are, I think, wrong. That is why I really see no difference in what eternal law or what, let's say, Hinduism, so to say, though I don't want to use the word Hinduism, Sanatan Dharma has to say, I see no difference. And that's why I'm saying bridging the gap. My purpose to bridge this perceptual gap that people have, built up over a period of ages. So, inshallah, there will be a time, maybe some one day will come when we will be able to add value in this effort of bridging the gaps and telling the world that there's only one God and there are different uh, approaches, traditions which people have created, and we must judge them based on their practices and how good they are in their conduct and how open they are to listen to the real message. On a final note, we'll end this today's uh, session saying that our message is that there's only one God, we have one life, and we never know when it's going to end. So let's come together and bridge the gaps. Me from here, Dubai Real with Roopa Sharma, with Dr. Khalid Zaheer Sahab. I say thank you very much, and please do like, share, and subscribe to Doctor's channel and my channel as well. Allah
Thank
Hafiz,
you.
Yaman Allah. Thank you.